Shalom, brothers and sisters. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you from Yahuwah the Father and Yahusha our Mashiach, his voice. Hear, O Yasharal, Yahuwah our mighty one is one Yahuwah. This is Brother David coming to you again to ask this question. Are there different species of humans on this planet? And this is part 2. Now, according to the Bible, we have 3 bloodlines on the planet. Adam, the seed of the serpent, and the seed of the fallen angels. Let's see if National Geographic can answer our question. You see the first slide here? Almost human. A new ancestor shakes up our family tree. You know, our is a pronoun, correct? It describes a person, place, or thing, correct? I mean, we know that. Who's this our? Do you make any claims that you descended from this monkey? These are Europeans that are speaking. They're saying that this is one of their ancestors. And he shook up their family tree. Now, they dug this ancestor up in South Africa. I think they said he was about 2 million years old. They couldn't extract any DNA from him. You know, the bones and everything. It's been too long. So they could not link this creature to anyone through DNA. Look at the slide to your right. National Geographic again. The other humans. Neanderthals revealed. National Geographic has just answered the question. There are other humans on this planet, and they called them Neanderthals, and another one is a Denisovan. Neanderthal is not their names. The reason they call them that is because they dug up these bones in the Neander Valley, and the Denisovans, they dug up their bones in a cave in Denisova. Both places are in Europe. Now, why do they call them, these Neanderthals, the so-called Neanderthals, the other humans? This may be startling to some of our European and Asian friends, but it's the truth. In America, our people are low information, very low information. No one knows anything. They just take what someone else said and run with it with no investigation. This I want you to investigate. They found this blood of this other human in Europeans and Asians. Let me say that again. They found the DNA from this Neanderthal, these Denisovans, these so-called other humans. It is alive and well today in Europeans and Asians. Now, if you think I'm making this up, just check it out. But you don't really have to check it out. I'm going to give you some leads so that you can find all of the information to do your own research on this subject. Let's begin. National Geographic. Listen to this question. Why am I a Neanderthal? Who is this I? Europeans and Asians. When our, see the pronoun again? Our points back to a certain group of people. It is a pronoun. We learn these things in school now. Who is the our? The European and Asians ancestors first migrated out of Africa, so they are trying to link themselves to the pure bloodline that comes from human beings, the first men from Africa. Okay, so look at the link now. They've linked themselves to the monkey. They've linked themselves to the Neanderthals. Now they're linking themselves to the modern humans that came out of Africa. The ones that came out of Africa is the so-called missing link that they have been talking about for all of these years. Around 70,000 years ago, they were not alone. Okay, we've established that the Africans, the black folks with this naughty, nappy, beady hair, black skin, big lips, shapely bodies, when they came out of Africa, there were other species of humans walking the earth. At that time, at least two other species of hominid cousins walked the Eurasian landmass, Neanderthals and Denisovans. You see those words, Neanderthal? That's not their name. The reason they named them Neanderthals is because they dug up the bones in the Neander Valley. You see the other word, Denisovan? They are not Denisovans. The reason they call them that because they dug up the bones in a cave in Denisova, and both locations are in Europe. As our modern human ancestors migrated through Eurasia, so as those black folks, I have to explain this because they use all of these terms. It throws you off. You don't know what you're reading. As our modern human ancestors migrated through Eurasia, so that is the black folks that came from Africa, and the person who went into Europe, his name was Japhet. They encountered the Neanderthals and interbred. Let's stop for a moment. Do you remember the picture in the beginning? Had a picture of a Neanderthal. They said the other humans. That was a female. Do you think when the brothers, African guys, when they came into Europe and they saw this woman, do you think they were attracted to them? Took them out on a date, held their hands, exchanged gifts, and married? Okay. What about the female? They saw these monsters. In their eyes, these would have been monsters. Do you think that they were attracted to the men? Do you think the fathers would have given their daughters over to these Neanderthals? What would have been the exchange? They had no cattle. They had no sheep, no goats. They didn't know how to plant. They were hunter-gatherers. They went out and hunted and killed and ate blood. What did they have to exchange for the marriage? Because there had to be an exchange. This is the way we function, even from the beginning. So do you think interbreeding went on? Let me give you my hypothesis that is backed up by the history of the Europeans and the Asians. This was a rape event. They killed the men and raped the women. Now, all down through history, you've seen all of the movies and the videos. And speaking of the movies, check out Clan of the Cave Bear. That is a good movie for you to watch. I'm going to give you some more as we go on, because this is going to link their movies to these events. They would kill the men, and then they would take the women and put the women as a part of their tribes or their clan. Look at this. Because of this, a small amount of Neanderthal DNA was introduced into the modern gene pool. See, I have there line number 1. Not a small amount. 2%. 2% added to the genome is absolutely huge. Everyone living outside of Africa today has a small amount of Neanderthal in them. What did you say? Everyone? Even us African Americans and us black folks who are outside of Africa today? Carried as a living relic of these ancient encounters. A team, and there's many teams all around the world, brothers and sisters. I can give you so many witnesses. A team of scientists comparing the full genomes of 2 species concluded that most Europeans and Asians have approximately 2% Neanderthal DNA. Look what it's going to say next. Indigenous, sub-Saharan Africans. What does it say? Have none. Where did they get us from? Isn't it incredible that we came from sub-Saharan Africa? Remember, all of the people who are even there today that they've tested did not have this Neanderthal genome. How much more 400 years ago? No Neanderthal genome. Or very little Neanderthal DNA, because their ancestors did not migrate out or migrate through Eurasia. So this Neanderthal genome entered Africa by who? The Europeans and the Asians. If there's any there. But what about us? We've been affected by this Neanderthal genome. We have small traces of it in our DNA. How does it present itself? Lighter skin, straighter hair, pretty eyes, diseases. Remember, I told you from the beginning about the rape event, about this interbreeding. When the Europeans captured us, kidnapped us, and brought us here in ships, did you know that they were the most wicked people on the planet? They raped the women, the small girls, the small boys, and even the men. This is how traces of their Neanderthal genome has entered into us. In comes all of your modern diseases. And we're going to speak about all of these things. We're going to bring this whole slide here, this information that we have obtained here. I'm going to show you evidence and facts supporting each and every claim. Darwin's theory of evolution. Remember, this is a theory. not fact, right? They said in this theory that man evolved from apes, monkeys, chimpanzees. Hold it. In the beginning, in the intro, they said another one of our ancestors shakes up the family tree. It's not any ancestor of Africans. So it must be their ancestor, correct? This is the theory that they're pushing. Darwin's theory of evolution is the widely held notion that all life is related and has descended from a common ancestor. Do you know what that common ancestor is? The monkey. The birds and the bananas, the fishes and the flowers, all related. Darwin's general theory presumes the development of life from non-life and stresses a purely naturalistic, undirected, that means there's no mighty one involved, no supreme being, descent with modification. Who's doing this modification? If it's undirected, who's doing this modification? Is it happening natural? That is, complex creatures evolve from a more simplistic ancestor naturally over time. That's talking about the monkey. Let me ask you a question. There's plenty of monkeys in Africa. Why haven't they evolved into humans? In a nutshell, as random genetic mutations occur, you see that? Genetic mutation. Within an organism's genetic code, the beneficial mutations are preserved because they aid in survival, a process known as natural selection. These beneficial mutations are passed on to the next generation. How does that happen? Through the Y DNA chromosome that comes from the male. Over time, beneficial mutations accumulate, and the result is an entirely different organism. Look what they're going to say. Not just the variation of the original. The original would be the monkey, but an entirely different creature. Darwin's theory of evolution is proven to be a lie now. Remember they said there was a missing link? National Geographic told you that the so-called missing link that caused these Neanderthals and Denisovans to have the ability to relate to the material realm were the humans that came out of Africa. We're talking about their research. Check it out for yourself. Now, if you believe what they're teaching you in school, this Darwinian theory, you came from monkeys. What did they find out recently? Two groups, the one from Africa, the other group from Eurasia, came up separate from each other. We believe in creation. Yahuwah created us. But in your schools, they teach this. There was a method to their madness all the time. This relates to them. They came from a monkey, and they morphed over time into a European. Hey, there's something missing here in this Darwinian theory, the so-called missing link. There should be an African here, someplace, put in between this monkey and this human and show a mixing or a rape event to bring forth what? Your modern day hybrid called the Europeans and the Asians. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 to 27. Let's see how the Mighty One created man, humans, the first humans. And the Mighty One said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Did he make us in the image of a monkey and say, we're going to let them evolve over time? No, it was done immediate. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So this man that Yahuwah created had dominion over even the monkeys. Verse 27. So the Mighty One created man in his image. I didn't use the word own because that's an added word. In the image of the Mighty One created he him. Male and female created he them. He repeated himself. He wanted you to know that he created us in his image and his likeness. Not evolution. Not this. No place in the book will you find that his creation evolved from a monkey and turned into a man. Genesis chapter 2, verse 4 to 7. These are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created in the day that Yahuwah the Mighty One made the earth and the heavens. Verse 5. And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, for Yahuwah the Mighty One had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. There was no rain on the earth in those days. That's why it was such an anomaly when Noah had built the ark. When the rain came down, men had never seen anything like that before. It was something startling. Verse 6. But there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. That's how it worked before. If you live here in Florida, you understand this process. At night, it seems like it gets wet, and in the morning you wake up and it looks like it rained. Verse 7. And Yahuwah the Mighty One formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. When Yahuwah created man, he was perfect. He was able to relate to the material realm. He was able to relate to the UV rays. He was able to outrun, outthink, and outdo every creature that was upon the earth. Now, Yahuwah created us. But in your public schools, do they teach creation? Look at the question on the top. Does the law require public schools to teach evolution as fact? We must first acknowledge that teaching the scientific evidence for creation is permissible. Oh, so you can teach it. In the most recent decision on this, the Supreme Court stated that teaching a variety of scientific theories, hold it, the Bible is not a theory, it is fact. It has been proven to be fact down through the millennia. It's not skipped a beat. Everything that it said has come to pass. About the origins of humankind to school children might be validly done with the clear secular intent of enhancing the effectiveness of science instructions. There's the case here. The decision ruled unconstitutional. An effort by the Louisiana legislature to mandate the teaching of both evolution and creation because the court wrongly suspected a religious purpose behind the law. Even though this was denied, and the bill emphasized that the evidence be presented without religious content, how do you do that? How do you teach creation without including Yahuwah, the angels, and all of the things that have happened in the book? The court further stated that the teachers already possessed the flexibility to supplant the present science curriculum with the presentation of theories. So you can put the theory of the Bible of creation and teach it in school. Remember, they say it's a theory. Besides evolution, about the origin of life, page 8. They are free to teach any and all facets of this subject, all scientific theories about the origins of humankind, page 9. You can only teach the science part. If you can prove that man came from the dust, yes, you can't put Yahuwah involved. Has to be purely scientific. The court has sustained the lower court finding that no court of which we are aware have prohibited voluntary instruction concerning purely scientific evidence. That happens, incidentally, to be consistent with a religious doctrine or tenet. In short, teaching the scientific evidence which supports creation is legal. Scientific evidence. Don't put anything about the mighty one in there. You cannot give him any accolades. You can't say he created the heavens and the earth. So only thing that you can present is the scientific evidence. However, can it be done? In the place of freedom, there exists a reign of terror by certain civil liberties groups. And the education establishment. Aha, here's your culprits. The word is out. Any teacher who dares to step out of line can expect an immediate and costly lawsuit. That's a deterrent. Evolution, listen, brothers and sisters, evolution must be taught as unquestioned fact. Did it say creation must be taught as unquestioned fact? No. Evolution. A lawsuit might result if a teacher even discusses the evidence, which doesn't fit well with evolution. This evidence must be censored out of the classroom, along with the abundant evidence which better supports creation than evolution. Thus, teachers are intimidated into surrendering their freedoms. So you can teach it, but if you do, you can get a lawsuit, lose your job, and be attacked. So it's a deterrent. So basically, you can't teach it, but evolution must be taught in the school system as unquestioned fact. And here's the fact. That they, not us, they, the Europeans and Asians, descend from a chimpanzee. Remember, they said unquestioned fact. Isn't it incredible that hundreds of years, 100 or so years after Darwin came out with his theory in like 1859, that now it is taught as unquestioned fact. Who was this Darwin, and what did he know? How did he know that the Neanderthal had this monkey gene in him? How did he know this? Where did he have the proof from? He didn't have the ability as a geneticist to go into bones and bring out the DNA. Where did he get this from? There's something hidden that we didn't know, but Darwin must have knew. Does this theory apply to those who come from sub-Saharan Africa? It does not. We have no connection to this. Our connection is to creation. We were created from the dust. Who has a connection to this? Europeans and Asians. They have 2% of this Neanderthal genome in their blood. And remember what I said before. If it sounds like it's something small, 2% is huge. Continue to part 3. Shalom.